So, I finally found a person to give my XE1 away to. I'm going to ship that one off tomorrow at the FedEx store. The $60 XE1 that I got here. Isn't that a deal? Best Buys. Things change twice a year for all cameras, but I wanted this video to be specifically about Fuji Best Buys currently. One camera, I've just got too many damn cameras. I got two X-T2s, two X-T1s. I'm getting rid of the XE1. I'm giving it away to a needy person that actually needs it. It was a hard choice between three different people about who to give the XE1 away to. X100T, not so cheap right now, although the X100F is coming out like in April of next year. Also, the X-Pro1. I don't know if there are going to be any Christmas sales on Fuji. Obviously, I'm not a prognosticator of that. One camera that I would have, the only reason that I don't have the X70 Fuji, and that has a leaf shutter like the X100T does, is I just don't need another damn camera. It's awesome. It's actually one of the best feeling cameras that I've ever had my hands on. For $700, I think it's actually worth every bit of what it costs. I got a couple issues with its ergonomics, but it is an awesome camera that I would have if I just didn't have so many damn cameras. Two top best values, well, three top best values right now. The price has kind of actually gone up a little bit, but the X-Pro1 can often be found for $200, $250. I typically see them for $300 plus. I mean, that's actually a great value. Also, the XE1, this one that I'm giving away that I got really cheap for $60. I'm not giving the lens away with it. This is my lens. I am giving the person the neck strap. Typically like 150 up to 2.25. I've seen a lot of them for like $160. Actually, an excellent camera. Obviously, the autofocus is not that fast, but it's an exquisite camera. The three best camera values right now are the XE1 for like $160, $180. The X-Pro1, which I found often for $200 to $280 depending on the condition. Right now I cannot recommend, I've had the X-T10 for quite a while. The only reason I can't recommend it right now is things shift twice a year, and then what was a good value 6 months ago is like a bad value now. Right now so many people are ditching off their Fuji X-T1s that they're really cheap on eBay. I've seen more than a few sell for right at $500. More than a few. I even saw one that sold for $100. Someone even emailed me that. I was like, damn, I wish I'd seen that. I would have bought that, and then we would have had a photo contest. So like, I would have got a $100 X-T1. That would have been great. I missed it, unfortunately. You can't be on eBay 24 hours a day. Anyway, XE1, the X-Pro1, and then the X-T1 are the three top best value Fuji films. Since Fuji just came out with the X-T2, of which I got a couple of them here. Here's an X-T2. Here's my other X-T2. Absolutely love it to death. I'm taking one of them with me to Florida, along with my X100T. I don't know if it's not my favorite camera of all time. I actually can rank it maybe third favorite camera of all time, right after the Fuji, Fuji, the Nikon D3, and then the Nikon D500. The D500 has now supplanted the Nikon D500 as my second favorite camera. I absolutely love the hell out of the Nikon D500. It's such a winner. Anyway, this is the Fujifilm X100T. It has a leaf shutter, and that is incredibly important for crushing out the ambient. The fact that I have a leaf shutter on this, I can do a high-speed sync photography with a dumb trigger. I mean, all it does is just send a signal out telling the flash to fire. The fact that I can actually do high-speed sync flash photography up to 1/4,000th of a second, but do full power, which is T1 time. Typically, most speed lights have a T1 time of full power. Like say a guide number of 80. Remember, in other words, the full blast output power is 1/1000th of a second duration. So I can do full blast power override at high-speed sync capabilities at 1/1000th of a second, and actually shoot wide open at say f2 on the Fuji X100T. Most people don't know what true high-speed sync. I was talking with I can't tell you who, but he's a president of a big company that Well, he deals in lighting, and we were kind of laughing about the fact that he's always asked, does this do high speed sync? And he's like, do you know what high speed sync is for? And then the customer doesn't even know what the hell they would use high speed sync for. High speed sync is about crushing out ambient light. I mean, you can make like really bright 2 p.m. light look like 8 p.m. light. It's like I'm going to crank up my shutter speed to 1/2000th of a second or 1/4000th of a second. That's obviously going to crush the ambient, and then I can actually raise my subject up with some fill light, and that allows you to do some amazing photography that you just... the leaf shutter is magical, so that's why so many, even though the autofocus on the X100T, I won't call it crappy, but it's not too far from crappy. But it's not for shooting action and sports. If you actually go into electronic viewfinder mode, it's a lot better. But it's certainly, I think now that my third most favorite camera ever. Everybody that owns the X100 or X100S, and this is the latest iteration, the X100T, and the next iteration is going to be the X100F, and I know exactly what the X100F is going to be. Now, I don't know the focal length on the actual lens for the X100F, but I do know that it's going to have a 24 megapixel sensor, and it's going to have much faster autofocus, and it's going to have a little bit of changes, not on the hybrid viewfinder, but on the LCD screen. I hope to God they don't even think about sticking a tilting view screen. This is what a Leica should have been all along. This is a true Leica, except it's not a Leica. It's much better than a Leica, and Leica never made anything this nice. They don't make anything this nice. This is better than a Leica. Not a very cheap camera, but it's worth every penny. I actually have an additional hand grip on here, the ones that I designed to make myself, and this is the base, which is the MHG X100, which is a screw-on base, which gives you an additional hand swell right here. But that combined with the strap makes this the most comfortable camera. Basically, it reminds me of the Leica film cameras I used to have back in the day. Yes, I owned a couple Leicas. And so this is my third favorite camera of all time, right after the Nikon D3, the Nikon D500, my third favorite camera. What, more than an X-T2? The X-T2 is right up there. I mean, the autofocus, everything on the X-T2 is incredible. I got two of them here. I mean, nobody gave me one of these. I had to pay for them out of my own damn pocket. On the second one, I actually had to sell 3 camera bodies. I sold 3 old cameras that I just didn't need anymore. It's like, which would I rather have? Like 3 redundant cameras that I'm not going to really use anymore? Or the X-T2, a second X-T2? And the answer was the second X-T2. So, you know, I put my money where my mouth is on the X-T2. The X-T2 is absolutely fantastic. It's amazing. It's actually shocked a lot of people. So those are the best values. The X-E1, and I'm sending this one off tomorrow. And the X-Pro1, which is can be found for about 200 or so bucks. The X-E1 can be found for about 140 bucks, roughly, plus or minus, depending on the condition. And lastly, the X-T1 right here, which right now they're going on eBay for $500 plus. I can't not recommend the X-T10 now, regardless, because the X-T1 is a superior camera, as anybody would know, for several reasons, even though it doesn't have the clickable front and rear command dials, because the X-T10 came out after the X-T1. But, you know, considering the fact that they're both basically the same price used, there's no way in hell I'd recommend a used X-T10. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's like, for the same amount of money, why not get a much better camera like the X-T1, which you can stick a vertical grip on, and it is a more capable, well-built camera. Just, that's undeniable. So, that's it. That's my review of, it's like, why don't you own this Fuji? Why don't you own that Fuji? I know that's what someone's going to ask you. It's like, why don't you own this Fuji? What about that? And how many cameras do you expect me to own? I've only got 2 hands, my God. I've got 15 cameras? 15 cameras? I don't even know how many cameras I got. How many cameras do you think I need to own, you know? It's like, why don't you own that Fuji? I don't own it because I don't need another camera. I tell you what I couldn't do without, and that's the leaf shutter on the X100T. And when the X100F rolls out, I guarantee you I'll be the first bitch on the block with the X100F, or at least one of the first. Actually, the first people to get it will be the Fuji-sponsored shooters, and not my fat tattooed ass, because Fuji doesn't give a damn about me. I'll just have to wait and, buy it somehow as fast as I can. I can't wait for that. That's like, what, 5 or 6 months away, the X100F. So, thanks for watching. That is the lowdown on the Fuji deals. What to get, what not to get. The deals, my favorite cameras. Definitely two favorite here are the X100T and the Fuji X-T2. Even though this is the important thing, and this is what people don't understand that are button sniffing gadget sluts. It's like, well, the autofocus on this camera is kind of sucky. It's even worse than the X-T1. It's like, that is true. This has worse autofocus than the X-T1. There's just no denying it. It's like, how could you love this camera as much or more than the Fuji X-T2? It's like, that's what you don't understand. I'm not the only one to say that, too. There are plenty of people that have an X100T and an X-T2. It's like, how on earth could you love that slow autofocusing camera? It's got a fixed lens, and it's like, leave shutter. Also, the lens is magical itself. This is a magical, fun, awesome, easy, people that shot Leica, this is it. If you're enjoying Leica and you wanted a Leica digital, except Leica never made anything this nice. This is kind of like a Leica on steroids, except for far, 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 far less money. If money were still no object, and the Leica didn't have Leica on it, and the Fuji didn't have Fuji on it, and you like to test both of them for a couple days, you're like, which one would you rather have? You can have one of them. They're both $1,000, okay? Which of course the Leica is not $1,000. Like, I'll take this one. They're both the same price, definitely this one. No love of no love for Leica digital. Not a Leica licker. I love old Leica film cameras, but Leica can kiss my crack when it comes to their digital cameras. Sorry Leica. I loved you to death, but your digital stuff sucks. Fuji's got you beat by a mile. Bye.